to put on the table to all young creative entrepreneurs. That's okay. Two keywords, two keywords when we talk about the survival pathway. Two keywords when we talk about how we're dealing with this pandemic, how we see the futures, okay, post pandemic. Let's be pray together. Inshallah, the pandemic will finish soon. Yeah, inshallah, the pandemic finish soon. But there are two keywords. Number one, as a conclusions, we call it survival using ecosystem. A business ecosystem that I have drawn just now. Please have a look. Yeah, please look into this are the elements that we have to confirm. But actually, about the business ecosystem, there's one thing that still lack that I need to go further. Is about the e-money. It's about e-wallet. Because for time being, when we talk about e-wallet, still not firm yet. The idea in here is the cycle of the money is not in our cluster yet. The cycle of money not moving in our region yet. But let's start from the small thing. Let's start from the pathway, which is let's reutilize what we have in our hand, what we have surround of our place right now. That's all for short presentations. Maybe we can continue later on with the Q&A. Thank you so much. I hand back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ilham. I think this is very interesting because most of the entrepreneurship that goes on around the world is kind of look towards this this kind of collaboration. I think when local meets global, there is even some saying, not some how do you call it, etymology. Yeah, it's called globalism, if I'm not mistaken. And your research is also about how this collaboration also can develop this self-identity. For now, we haven't have any question we don't have any question yet now, but I do have a question for you, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, so you did. I think you did a collaborational research with your students in Temanggung, yeah? If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, hearing it. Then in Temanggung, how exactly do you? I mean, can you talk a bit about how the collaboration work? I mean, it's not just about branding, right? It's also about building some, I don't know, building some capacity to the local people to have the confidence to sell their stuff or just market their stuff around the world. So how do you? I mean, can you talk a bit about the methodology of that?
Okay, all right. Very interesting, very good questions. Actually, we just started. Okay, which the project actually started a long time ago, done by my colleague there. She's one of the pioneer there. She's the head of district, Camat. Yeah, she's head of a district, Camat, which is my colleague. Yeah, my colleague. She's the one who started. Then I can introduce you to you if you want to go further. Okay, she's on my Facebook also. Okay, now I just started with to have some collaborations with her. Yeah, we had a lot of webinar. We had a lot of discussions on how to globalize the place right now. Okay, actually, the place are famous with the coffee Temanggung. Kopi Temanggung. The place is famous with the coffee, and then the momentum started. Yeah, the momentum started when a few stakeholders, they initiate sekolah kopi Gemawang, in that area called Gemawang, Kecamatan Gemawang, District Gemawang. Gemawang right now is transformed from a ordinary village, which is they just produce coffee, and right now they move to another part that we call it as a creative industry sectors, which is they have a tourist coffee village. Tourist coffee village, which is for me very, very interesting. Yeah, I know that's a lot of desa wisata, a lot of tourist village right now started with this activity. That's why I tried to bring this issue in our discussions about participations from locals. This is a very, very important part. We start from main engine. Who are the main engine right now? the main engines. Of course, we talk about the number one. We talk about the main stakeholder. There's a few young entrepreneurs. They have a lot of knowledge and also experience when they were in Jakarta, and then they bring this knowledge to Gemawang, and then they start to create a coffee school. Yeah, they took the coffee school, and then even the location is quite far away, from the capital, from the main city in Temanggung, but step by step, they started to penetrate some of the local participation, yeah, and then currently, alhamdulillah, they have started with the designing homestay, for the tourists, so for the past 2 months, for the past 3 months, all these stakeholders, they have discussions with me, and then Prof, how we do next movement. We want to make a like a big quantum leap right now to go global. So I talked to them, okay, how much time that we need from main airport, or from Yogyakarta, or from Semarang? Not far away, just 2 or 3 hours. Okay, great. So meaning that this is good. Let's we utilize pandemic time right now. Yeah, let's we utilize our freezing time when we stay at home right now to do local preparations. Mean that's through social media, to promotion, of course, main infrastructures. Let's we make sure our kitchen is well and prepared. Why? Because during pandemic, this is the best time for us to bring all the young entrepreneurs to work together. So maybe some of them works on the souvenir. Actually, they have started with the local souvenirs. They have started with the local foods. They have started with the local homestay. They have started. So everything is local. Everything is local. So that's why just now when I talk about entrepreneur self-identity, it's about local empowerment. And second, about community development. So it's about collaborations of the local vendor. They join together. But they have one brand, Tourist Coffee Village. Now, we hope that pandemic will finish soon. So they can use hub from Bali or hub from Kuala Lumpur, fly to Yogyakarta or fly to Semarang, and then go to their place. So there's a lot of discussions on how we globalize, because we talk about some international barista. We stay there. If you see the village, it's a very nice, very comfortable. And then they have a good internet connections. Yeah, they have a good internet connections. For me, it's heaven. I can stay there, for example, 2-3 days for sure. That's 2 or 3 papers, okay, ready with writing papers with the cup of coffee, and then we are totally relaxed. For me, it's heaven. I do believe that a lot of researchers here, all of you agree with me. I think in Malang also the same things. In Malang right now, a lot of desa wisata, a lot of tourist village started, with the different type of what we call it as a self-identity. Some of them, they call it as a desa wisata beras, for example, desa wisata rice. So how they utilize rice as a brand, as a brand for their tourist village. The same thing like this one is a coffee. Okay, that's about a little bit about the place, Anissa.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof, for the explanation on the methodology that you use for doing this research and developing the whole ecosystem, because this is very important for us right now. We have to be able to develop those ecosystems so the entrepreneurship will move smoothly. And then we have a question coming in.
Yeah.
So there is a question from Bapak Andi Pramono. Pak Andi is actually our secretary department, and Pak Andi is also very interested in entrepreneurial research as well. So Pak Andi asked about how about traditional industry that doesn't have enough knowledge using social media. Do you ever encounter something like that, or do you have any suggestion how do we develop this kind of area that actually these traditional places have lots of opportunities to go forward, but they doesn't have any privilege to learn the social media before? And do you have any suggestion for it? Do you have any experience in that? And yeah, you can probably answer that.
Okay. Uh, the answer is young creative entrepreneur. The answer is a millennial. Okay, the answer is millennial. Yeah. Why the answer is millennial? Social media for the millennial, social media for the young entrepreneurs, social media for the youngsters right now is something common. Okay. The problem right now is I do really agree with Pak Andi. I do really agree with Mr. Andi just now about the traditional industry, which is they don't have enough knowledge. So how to answer this scenario? Okay, how to answer this scenario? Let's we call our young entrepreneurs. I do believe that they have a lot of idea. I do believe all the millennials, they are in the right time, they're in the right situations to talk about the idea. But the challenge right now is some of them, okay, they don't have media, they don't have what we call it vehicle to facilitate the idea, including social media. For example, like this, when we ask about Facebook, for example, we go to the school, we go to the junior high or to senior high, and then we ask them, we throw them questions. Okay, a question like this: how many of you in this class that you don't have a social media? I do believe that most of them, they don't have to raise the hand, because some of them, they have a 2 or 3 account. Agree with me? Okay, agree with me. But the next question is, okay, how many of you that you know how to utilize search engine optimizations? How many of you that you have a knowledge about landing page? How many of you that you know how to calculate from likes and also from the search engine ratio, that you're able to do estimation how many potential customer that you're able to grab to your business? This is something that needs all the lecturers, all the researcher here. Okay, this is the first keyword that I mentioned just now. This is the principles of our collaborations. You know, that's we need some people right now. Yeah, we need some young entrepreneurs to have a collaboration right now with others, to have collaboration sessions with those who have a knowledge and experience with the social media. They start with the simple, sometimes Instagram and Facebook. I know that's all the young right now. Okay, they have started with Instagram. They take pictures and then they put it on the Facebook, they put it on the Instagram. They start to put it as for leisure, as for their daily. But right now it's time for us to do transformation a little bit. Okay, we have a session, just a very simple session like this, like webinar. Okay, now this is the way how we try to utilize a search engine. This is how with the landing page, with the search engine, we try to make connections with the product. Okay, let's, for example, they don't have product yet. Okay, who what possible? So who are the potentials? Who are the stakeholder which is currently they have a potential product? Let's bring them to the. So meaning that the second formula about entrepreneurship self-identity, which is I mentioned about the community development. So when we talk about community development, inside of the community, for sure they have a product, they have a potential services or anything that we can collaborate with. We can create a group of the young entrepreneurs, and we start the engines. Okay, start the engines. So okay, to answer these questions, my suggestion number one is okay, I come back to the first formula, is about collaborations. Okay, and second, utilize local resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, well, I also agree with you, Prof, because there will not be any, kind of work together if there is not any collaboration inside. And collaboration, especially collaboration, needs to have a how do you call it? A two-way communication, probably. So it's a dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So I hope that answers your question, Bapak Andi. And we still have a little we still have like 7 minutes. I think we started earlier before, so we have I think we will end this 15 minutes earlier, so you should have, and we should have end this session at 9:15, but
Okay.
because we started at 15 minutes earlier, so we will end this session at 9. So if there is anything that you would like to I don't know, probably a message for young entrepreneurs, because I think in this forum we have a lot of young entrepreneurs.
Correct.
They don't just like um, they don't just like have their own brands, but they also do some community services. I think do some community services, and then how can you give them some message to, you know, probably motivate to make more than just a community service, but becomes the community development itself, because it's a quite different meaning in itself.
Okay. All right. So I had experience. So we talk about experience right now. Okay, experience. It's not only just about theory. Okay, we talk about experience for the young creative entrepreneurs. When we go to the journey later on, when we go to the journey, so there are two situations. You know, we talk about the first line is we talk about fun, happiness, leisure. Okay, or smile are here. The second line, okay, the second line talk about roadblock, challenges, stress, okay, tensions, tensions, investor, investor, okay. We talk about lack of knowledge and also failure, okay, also failure. So this is the two scenario. Okay, this is the two scenario. Trying to combine theory and practice right now, you know. So let's the young entrepreneurs identify. They will go through the journey, you know. For sure, they will go through the journey. And then these two lines, they're parallel. Okay. So on the left side we have happiness. On the right side, so we have what we call it as tensions, sadness, and all these things. You know, both of them together. One time failure, common. 2 times still okay. 3 times start learning. 4 times this is a new thing that I can collaborate, that I can innovate. 5th time start to smile. Okay, this is my message. You know, this is my message, because I just to be honest with you, to be honest with all of you, I learned also from my mistake. You know, when I did a lot of a business, okay, a lot of a business, and also a lot of partners. You know, when they come to my room, and then they start to call me, Prof, can I come to your room? And then when I opened the door, and then they started, you know, I can see the tears. Okay. So I asked them, there are two scenarios of a tears right now. Whether you have a failure or whether you get your investor. Okay, but this is common. You know, this is common. For me, it's totally common. Okay, so some of the entrepreneurs, like first time, second time failure, then directly success. Okay, a few of entrepreneurs, sometimes they have a 200 proposal. You know, so after 500 proposal, the proposal number 501, then get investor. This is common. So that's why, just now I put in my formula. This is the critical success factors. Those are the items that currently happening. That's why I put the setting in Indonesia and Malaysia. You know, Indonesia and Malaysia, because I did the research and also collaborations, and also a lot of practice that I try to summarize into that flow chart. Okay, into that flow chart. Now, for young entrepreneurs, when you get a failure, when you get a roadblock, common. And then I do believe that this entrepreneur will say that, Prof, this is a totally classic. You just mentioned about theory and webinar. No, this is true. This is the real situations. Okay, but trust me, you will learn from the mistake. And then you will think about, okay, let's reopen our textbook. How to do the financial management right now for our startup? How to do negotiations? How to prepare contract? So we have to open our notes. You know, we have to open our notes. We cannot simply that, okay, Google, and then we just open our Google, please, how to make a contract, and then suddenly you will receive a lot of contract. But of course, we have to go back to our books. We have to see our professors. Okay, prof, right now I want to start my business right now dealing with the foreign buyers. Be careful, okay? When we go to Alibaba, Amazon, and all these things, of course, we need tips, we need the trick, we need the knowledge. So that's why how we bring closely between theory and practice. This is we call it as the two-line journey that I mentioned just now. Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's also that's a very good message, and also that's a very practical message in a way, and also theoretical. So, and lastly, then I would like to ask for your permission, because I think you've already shared your presentation up front. So, on that presentation, I will send it to all of the participants and the presenters and also the participants of this conference. And then I would also like to invite the attendees and the participants and the presenters of this seminar that if you want to collaborate or if you want to communicate directly to Prof. Ilham, then the email is inside the presentation that Prof. Ilham shared before.
Sure. I'm on Facebook, okay, Sentosa Ilham, and on Instagram also, Sentosa_Ilham. Most welcome.
See, okay, so our professor is very, tech savvy, because all of the social media, Prof. Ilham have all of the social media, and we can contact directly to him. So yeah. I think that's the end of our session, Prof. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much also for the presentation, and this is a very valuable lessons for us. And also I hope that this will be the start of another collaboration and also another pathway for us to make a new stuff. We have another question coming in, but probably I will ask you directly after this forum, and then I will send the answer to the person later on. Thank you, Prof.
Sure.
Very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ilham Sentosa. That is it for our first plenary session. So for the second plenary session, I would like to invite Fatima Roja. Is that a correct pronunciation? I hope it is.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Fatima is here with us, and I would like to invite Fatima. Fatima is now a researcher at awesome is that? Okay, so I'm sorry, I think my connection is unstable. I'm very sorry. I said that Fatima is also an athlete. So I will give the floor to you, Fatima. If you'd like to start your presentation now, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Before I start, I would like to thank to the Universitas Negeri Malang, and did I say it correctly? And the conference organizers for inviting me to be here with you today. I feel truly, truly grateful and honored for this chance to be here with you. So I need to share my screen that I was completely forgetting.
Take your time. It's okay. We started earlier, so it's okay. There you have it. We already see your screen.
No, but I guess, okay. Here. Fine. And is it moving? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
This is moving. Well, I'm here today to talk about souvenirs, that kind of product that is very present in our lives. Everyone has bought a souvenir in a trip or has received a souvenir as a gift from someone else. So souvenirs are actually very important social and cultural, they have very important social and cultural functions, and they deserve designers' attention. But first, I have to ask you a little bit of your patience, because before talking about the souvenir and, for example, the countless t-shirts around the world inspired at Milton Glazer's creation for New York City, I would like to talk about the relationship between design and representations of cultural identities. So just to mention, by the way, this t-shirt, I Love Fatima, is real. And no, I didn't made it for myself. Fatima is the name of a very important city here in Portugal, visited by people from all over the world. And I don't have a t-shirt from Fatima, but my husband does. So let's start. A long time ago, a very long, almost once upon a time, I would like to share with you 3 experiences that brought me here today. A long time ago, my master research, teaching at a fashion design school, and my actual PhD research, beginning with
Sorry, Fatima, I think your voice is broken. Okay, so I think we need to wait a little bit because Fatima is currently having a connection error. So
all right, no problem.
Okay.
Where I was?
Okay, so you're here again now. Can you reshare your screen? Okay.
Yes.
There you go. There you are. Okay.
Okay. And to you, what I said.
I think it started. Yeah.
When the connection was interrupted.
I think this.
What I was talking of.
Yeah, when you was talking about the master research and then the connection broke. So this is a perfect time to start.
Okay. Okay, so a long time ago, my master research was inspired by this image created for the visual identity of an ecological campaign. This logo has called my attention because I loved it, but the Brazilian flag is protected by law, and in theory, no one could use it, the elements of the flag differently from its original and official composition. But little by little, and now the screen are not changing. Now, okay. I need to stop sharing. These issues, these connections issues are
real. Well, that's the perk of having international forums, and we all doesn't have any same internet connection, which is fine.
No problem. We all know this happens.
Yeah, we've already researched it as well. So, okay.
And it's not moving again.
Or do you want us to back it up because we already have the presentation, so we can
no. I got it.
Okay.
I got it. So little by little, I realized that many international and national companies, and even small local businesses and other kinds of institutions, they were using the graphic elements of the Brazilian flag to communicate different messages in logos, objects, and other applications. By the time, for example, Brazil was the only place in the world where the internet provider company American Online changed the colors of its logo when arrived in the country. And this is just an example of what was going on. But after all, what was going on? Because I came up with this question: is design expressing patriotism in a position of a very common Brazilian verbal speech that almost always disqualifies the country? Actually, the complete question would be like this, because in those years, the self-esteem of the Brazilian people was not very good at all. And there was this visual speech, very positive. So it became my research. And for months, I studied national flags in general, investigating their symbolical aspects. They represent cultures, they tell stories and describe the geography and natural wealth of their countries. They express religious devotion. They tell a lot about the country. And based on previous analysis by a Brazilian designer called Joaquim Redick, I also studied the graphic aspects of many flags, testing their legibility, trying to understand how they could or could not be used in graphic design projects. I wanted to know how many and which elements could we subtract from different flags and still recognize them. And I learned a lot about flags. I learned so much about flags that I should be presenting family flags with Sheldon Cooper, but he wouldn't let me talk anyway, so never mind. Returning to the Brazilian flag and the graphic attributes previously pointed by Redick, I understood that those visual characteristics were responsible for a wide variety of legible creations. And those creations were meeting a wide range of semantic demands. However, the images were still not clearly a patriotic speech. They were always about Brazil, but communicating different messages. So to make short a long story, during 2 years of research, I did a lot of interviews with designers, politicians, citizens, authors. I had the support of Roland Barthes semiology, and I did a syntagmatic analysis of 100 logos to conclude that the use of the Brazilian flag in graphic design was not always about patriotism, but for sure, design, for sure, absolutely for sure. Design was helping to build a sense of identity, belonging, and unity for the Brazilian people. Our country is very big and has many different cultures and extremely difficult to maintain a sense of unity. But those images, more present in everyday life than the flag itself, were doing that. It was now very clear to me that there was a clear relationship between design and the representation of a social, cultural, or national identity and social phenomena. They could both be cause and effect of each other. Shortly after finishing my master, I accepted the challenge of being a teacher at a fashion design school. And why was it a challenge? Because I had absolutely no experience in fashion design, except as a user. Even so, I took the chance because I knew that Senai was considered the best fashion school in the country, with a focus on industrial clothing production. So I would be teaching graphic and product design and learning a lot about fashion design, of course. I had classes of 60 students, most of them very young girls coming from all over the country and with different social backgrounds, but with one thing in common, a dream about glamour, freedom to create, maybe be a star in a fashion magazine one day. But since the first semester of classes, the dream was facing reality. Industrial design is fascinating, but it's not just about glamour, a runway, or Vogue magazine. They had 7 semesters to become fashion designers with a rich and complex curriculum. In the second semester, they had a theoretical discipline that was essential to read the final project, methods and process in design, one of the most boring disciplines. And it was supposed to be exclusively theoretical discipline on design method, on design methodology in general, not specifically for fashion. They were not very crazy for that. What could I do to make it more interesting for them? Talking with other teachers and with the course coordinator, we decided that the discipline would become theoretical practical. In all subjects, students had 2 assessments per semester. For the first assessment, after 2 months of lectures, Students will have an individual assignment. And then until the end of the semester, they would develop a team project with oral presentation and report. And now it was my time to make the classes as less boring as possible. I had to talk about design definitions, user and object relationships, methods for very young fashion students. It wasn't easy at first. It wasn't easy at the first time, but then looking for interesting fashion products, it improved a lot. I had to talk about, if I had to talk about technology, for example, how about introducing the illuminated fabrics from the Italian company Luminex? They have their own light. They can be washed and you will stand out from the crowd using a luminous shirt or any other thing. And how about the hug shirt created by the company Cute and awarded as the best invention in 2006 by Time magazine, with heat and movement sensors. If you and another person are both wearing this shirt, you can be connected by mobile phone, you can hug each other. It would be perfect for our days. And if I had to talk about physical and mental needs of a user, of a group of users, I would bring some controversial examples, like the Louis Vuitton dog bag, to stimulate debate about, for example, who is the user, the dog or the owner of the dog? And it was very funny. But approaching humans users again, one day I thought about a very complicated issue, uniforms. Everybody had to wear a uniform at some point of life, at least at school. Everybody have an experience with uniforms. So let's talk about uniforms. And it worked very well. The lectures, I'm sorry, in the lectures on the relationship between objects and user, we started to analyze airline uniforms and all the functional and semantic aspects that those clothes should have. We started by comparing uniforms from different national airlines and analyzing the differences between each company's culture, public destinations. And we started analyzing airline uniforms around the world. And from there, it was easy to include cultural identity representation on the agenda. We have to remember that on a trip to another country, the very first real contact we have with the culture is on the plane, is in the plane. Meals, on-screen movies, and onboard crew clothes are the real start of the trip. By the way, this website, Uniform Freak, can you see it here? Okay. It's amazing. You should take a look. Do you recognize these uniforms? Yes, is Garuda Indonesia. And as we see in this example, sometimes there are even different uniforms for specific destinations. For me, this is cultural respect, and I love it. Did you see the Olympics uniforms on television last week? They are beautiful and elegant, but most of all, they talk to others about the history and representation of the culture of each country. The Mexican delegation, for example, brings part of their own story embroidered on their collar. Tijuan hand embroidery is a Mexican tradition and was made by artisans and designed by a fashion brand for this opening ceremony. I love opening ceremonies, don't you? The Mexican, in opening ceremonies, I'm sorry, we can see the same country sending different messages year after year. This year for me, Indonesia is bright and casual, but still very elegant. Last games in Rio, for me, it was much more about tradition and power, right? So I miss already told that I'm an athlete. I miss Rio 2016. Yes, I had so much fun. No, this is not a Photoshop edition, and I was indeed shooting at the Olympic venue, but I was not competing. I was just invited to act like an athlete for the TV broadcast test, and it was really fun. I got even a badge. But I do have some experience in opening ceremonies. I competed in 4 Pan American Games until 2011, and it's kind of a mini Olympic Games with 41 countries. And I know all the complexity of developing uniforms for hundreds of athletes. So I took the uniforms and the experiences to the classroom to teach about design methodology. The students loved wearing the uniforms, discovering every detail, and understanding that in each edition of the games, our clothes represented our culture with different values and different goals. Analyzing these goals and all the functional and semantic aspects of a product, we studied models of processes in design by classic authors, and then they developed their own projects in the practical part of the discipline. They could choose a profession or an activity, a sport, and create a uniform for it. But getting to the souvenir, but in 2008, on a trip to Tunisia, I visited Tataouine, the scenic city of the movie Star Wars. A souvenir seller offered me some necklaces, and in that context, they seemed to me to be very authentic pieces of handcrafts from the local culture. But the next day, in a store in another tourist location, I found a necklace identical to the one I bought, and it was made in China. So a disappointed tourist was now a happy designer and teacher, because this experience brought me many questions about authenticity, representation of local cultures, and tourist experiences. That necklace was even a souvenir. It was a product that I took as a souvenir because I believed it was a piece of local crafts. Well, from this experience, I started to reflect about the functional and semantic values of souvenirs, and why not share those reflections with my students? Rio de Janeiro was being prepared to host the 2014 FIFA World Cup and 2016 Olympic Games. So instead of uniforms, let's work on souvenirs. Because based on the same authors, my students worked hard, and more than good projects, they developed extensive research on the needs of tourists and the cultural aspects of the city of Rio de Janeiro. They found that for visitors, we have to remember that sometimes we are creating things for the other. For visitors, references about music, street art, street carnival, local characters, and everyday experiences were very important. One of my favorite projects was from this group. They developed a small collection of 4 t-shirts, considering prints, models. Their prototypes weren't even perfect, but they went deep into their research on all aspects of the project with a lot of respect for methods. Therefore, they were able to identify what surprises a tourist in Rio, what made them feel intimacy and belonging. There was the authenticity those girls wanted to give to the project, and they got it. Only someone who has spent a day on a beach in Rio knows that the street vendors offer their products screaming in a never-ending and funny symphony of sounds and aromas and shapes. Anyone who sees this print after having this experience on a t-shirt immediately hears, smells, and sees a beach in Rio in their memories. So far, at least, I think that here is my legacy, my contribution to cultural identity studies. In 7 years, I talked about it for around 900 fashion students. They have a greater awareness of the whole of the designer in creating nonverbal messages about the cultural identity of a nation, a city, or any kind of organization. And I'm very happy to know that some of them already had a piece of that dream of being a star in a fashion magazine. To mention just two examples, Gustavo de Carvalho is in Marie Claire magazine because of a collection he created after Indians from Xingu, a protected area in Brazil. He was talking about cultural identity. My girls, Daniela and Ana, created a fashion brand called Wasabi. And the trademark of the brand is that all collections have prints created exclusively by Brazilian artists. I like to believe that my lectures have something to do with these happy endings. Finally, and briefly, I'm going to talk about my PhD. After years observing souvenirs from the perspective of a designer and taking pictures of mugs, ceramics, miniatures and decorative items, bags, a lot of bags, t-shirts, of course, the collectible snowballs, and once again, of course, magnets. It was time to study the souvenir in a deeper way. So here is my research theme: contributions of strategic design to representations of Portugal cultural identity. But why in Portugal? Because since 2008, when I started paying attention to souvenirs, I came to Portugal many times on vacation to stay here or for a brief stopover going somewhere else. So let me introduce you the rooster of Barcelos. It has been the symbol of the country for almost 100 years due to a beautiful legend about honesty and integrity. And that it's its traditional appearance. Coming here frequently, I could notice that Barcelos Roosters, Galo de Barcelos, gained new versions. It was communicating new messages. In fact, I had the opportunity to witness the birth of Souvenirs brand created from the watchful eye of strategic design, and local product stores created to celebrate the local identity, such as A Vida Portuguesa, that means the Portuguese life, ended up becoming stores full of tourists seeking authenticity. So here's my new research question: what strategic design can do for the Portuguese souvenir? Last May, 160 people answered a questionnaire for my research. I find interesting to note that most people plan their trips carefully, but don't think about what souvenirs to buy. But I already know that for those tourists, magnets are the most popular souvenir, and the Portuguese wine is the best local product. Over the next 3 years, I will have many interviews with designers, tourists, and locals. I will be observing souvenir shops and buyers. I will go back to Bart's semiology, and I will do a syntagmatic analysis on souvenirs and local products bought as souvenirs. My research is in the very beginning, and by now I have more questions than answers. So what gives authenticity to a souvenir? The message that it communicates, the personal meaning that each tourist gives to it. Why does a tourist buy a souvenir or a local product? Is it really representing a local culture or a personal experience? What can a designer do about it? I share these questions with you so that we can together, as professional designers and teachers, reflect on the effect of our work on our societies. And I heartily hope that next year we can meet again, maybe in person, to talk about it once more. Thank you very much. Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, Fatima, for the whole explanation and also for the presentation. I think this is very interesting take on another part of tourism and souvenir. There's a product of it, and also your findings are very interesting when people are planning trips to their to the country they want, or the country or the places they want to go, but they do not exactly plan their souvenirs. I mean, to buy any souvenirs.
They don't even think about it.
Exactly, they don't even think about it. So it's very interesting, and probably this will change some of the viewers' view about planning on trips. And we have two questions coming in already, so I will read it to you. So the first one is from Pa Andi. Pa Andi asked about the first part of your research, the start
the research.
The start of your research. You were researching about there is some connection about government, the variable about government connectivity with the patriotic design. So
yes,
is there any, I mean, would you care to explain more about that? How does the government kind of probably influence design, or how does that connect it?
Wow, let me see, how can I answer this in less than 3 hours?
Of course you can.
Yes, we can. There's a great difference between official symbols,
yep,
flags, and you know, the symbols of the institutions, the governmental institutions. But the point, and what we do in other aspect, what designers do. The point is, the government will always interfere in this, allowing, not allowing, and maybe stimulating. In Brazil, we had a very interesting experience about we have been through a military government for years, and with a lot of restrictions, and the popularity and the patriotism was going down. So what they did, they started to stimulate the use of the Brazilian flag in soccer games. It was a way to get a national symbol close to the people for a good motivation. So I have talked to one senator. Since I had to make a very short presentation here, a lot of informations were out. For example, when the government, already in a democracy, started to notice that this kind of visual manifestation, logotypes and objects and prints were going on, were happening, they started to study to change the law, because they realized that maybe the flag itself was not the best instrument to make Brazilian people feel more Brazilian. I don't know if I'm being clear. So after all, so now they are changing when I was doing that research, they were presenting studies to change the law. I really don't know how this story ended, but I guess that now it's not anymore, so there are not so many restrictions like before. The project was including the possibility to use the flag as wear a flag. You could wear a Brazilian flag, for example. It was not allowed by law. So I don't know if I have answered, but of course, I think design is everywhere, and we are connected to every level of organization in a society, the government, the people, children, everybody. So did I answer your question?
Well, I think there's some level on it that explains the connectivity of the government in the design process. Of course, there will be some connection, but probably not a direct connection, because some official designs can be connected directly to the government, and also probably the regulation, if I'm not, yeah. So the regulation, more like the regulators are from the governments, probably something like that. If I can resume what you've just explained to us.
Let me give you another example that comes to the souvenir part of the story.
Yeah.
The Galo de Barcelos, the Barcelos rooster, that is a symbol of Portugal. We can think a tourist that comes here will heard about the legend, and oh, it's so nice, the story, and blah blah blah. So it means it really talks about the culture, the personality of the country. But in fact, it was an initiative of a government. 80 years ago, it was going to be a huge exposition here in Portugal. And Antonio Ferro, who was responsible for the communication department of the government, decided that he would love to give a gift, a souvenir, to some of the participants of a conference, a congress or something, a very important one. And he heard about the story of the legend of the Galo, and he studied about it and thought, okay, this is good for us. So it was intentional. And the government worked to create this symbol. And now, 80 years later, we have this symbol in Portugal. And we truly believe that it was spontaneous. Almost no one knows that it was an intentional act from the government to create this personality. You know that story that people say that one lie repeated 1,000 times become a truth. Sometimes it happens, but not necessarily a lie and a truth, but an idea. You know, you have an idea, and it's not concrete, it's not solid. But if you insist and insist and insist, that's what Bart talks to us about the myth. So many times that the Galo de Barcelos will be recreated in different shapes and different colors, the more it will strengthen the power of the image and the myth. It will take us to the reference of the original one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now I can imagine how the process of developing those images it's not as a short-term kind of process, but a repeated one. And like you said, if we insist, like constantly insist on it, and then it becomes something that is easily received by the people, probably something like that. Okay, I hope that answers the question, Bapak Andi. And I will. The second question is from a participant, a presenter, basically. This is from Aditya Nirwana. he asked about souvenirs sometimes provide kind of emotional distance to domestic tourists. He feels that souvenirs sometimes provide a kind of emotional distance to domestic tourists or to someone who lives within the area as if they were foreigners. What about souvenirs that do not provide that kind of distance? I mean, probably this is how question or yeah.
I'm not sure if I understood the question, but I can already, like I said before, I have more questions than answers right now. I mean, the very beginning of the research, but again, talking about the Barcelos roosters, Portuguese people can't stand it anymore.
Okay, that's the truth.
There's a blog, there's a very funny blog. I don't know the contents of the whole blog, but one publication, one post is about we need, he's too old, he's too tired, he need rest, and we need rest from him, from the gallows. So, because yes, this image is being so massively used. And what I bring as one of my questions and one of my hypotheses in this research is we are always going to resist to a monologue. We are always going to fight back. And do you remember there's the traditional image and new images with the LGBT flag, or new surfaces? I believe that each variation brings new messages and of course talks to different people. So maybe for someone who is gay, or when you see that rooster with a different painting, can understand that, okay, it's a friendly country for me. Or maybe there's another version that is you have to assemble the parts. We had one, we broke it accidentally. It was an accident. I broke it. But it's modern. It communicates modernity and other values. So, of course, that when we have to remember that when we are talking about a national souvenir, we are not talking to ourselves. Let me go back to the example of the uniforms, but we are talking about the same thing. A uniform of an opening ceremony or a souvenir is the same thing in this aspect. I don't know if you remember, there was a uniform that was white pants and a shirt, green and yellow and blue. Even one of my students were wearing this shirt. So when we received that uniform for the opening ceremony, and I mean, not just me, a lot of athletes, oh my God, I'm going to look like a tourist in my city. This is ridiculous. This is not us. But the point is, in that Pan American Games, it was in Santo Domingo, 2003. And when the games are over, it's the same as the Olympic Games. When the games are over, the country that is going to be the host of the next one invites the countries to go. The countries are not obligated to. They don't have to go. They go. They go if they want. So there's a process. That moment when the athletes are in the closing ceremony of one game to the other,
Mhm.
It's a moment of seduction. It's
Mhm.
the moment when we have to talk to the other
Mhm.
at all, at all.
Yeah.
And and it was a big surprise for me that the athletes of other countries went crazy for that uniform. They wanted to trade it with us because for them, they were, the thing I heard most was, wow, this is so real. This is so Rio de Janeiro. I want this. Would you trade it for me? And oh no, I'm sorry, I can't. And actually we couldn't trade. So, sorry.
Take your time.
I think what she asked us is, how do we react? No, that is that we usually don't react very well to the souvenirs of our country. So I want to give you back another question. And what can you do for that? What can you do about it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we are designers, and we exist to find solutions.
Exactly, exactly.
So, and I recognize it's really hard. It's really hard to find a solution for this issue. That's why I'm watching and observing this for years and starting to study deeply about it. And I truly hope in 3 or 4 years, in 3 years, I will have a good answer for that. But for sure, one thing I already know, when I started to write the proposal, I was thinking about the Portuguese souvenir in general, for foreigner tourists, for internal tourists. And I already know that this is impossible because of this issue of even here in Portugal, that is a small, in geographic way, in geographic terms, is a small country. There are very different cultures going on.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I live here in Lisbon and I'm going to visit Porto or Algarve, or I'm going to have surprises, I'm going to find things that I don't know. But it leads us to another point, another question about souvenirs, another important point. The preconception, it's really hard to represent the culture of a whole country, because our lives are lived in small areas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So our identity is constructed in small places, in your neighborhood, even inside a city. There are different places and different way of living and different cultures inside the same city. So to synthesize, it's really hard, but I think it's a decision.
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
you decide, and it's a choice, or even it's a project.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a perfect way to express it. It's probably a project and it's a process as well.
Yes.
And I think this also kind of related to what Prof. Ilham before said about the locality, about the locality and collaboration and those kinds of things, and then the communication about it in from people to people who are connected to it. So probably it's a process that goes on more than we can realize.
And I'm sorry to
it's okay.
interrupt you, but
okay,
we have also to remember that culture is not static. It moves, changes.
Yeah.
That's why I have to be honest. That's why I love so much opening ceremonies of Olympic Games. Since I was a little kid, I watched all of them, because we see transformation. We see changes. We see different goals.
Okay.
And even in a country, maybe the souvenir you have now as a symbol of your country
Mhm.
tells something that is not real anymore.
Okay.
Or maybe the souvenir is the object that is preserving a tradition that without it would be already buried.
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice take. And I am sorry to interrupt you and sorry to stop you there because we're already out of time. And
Wow.
yeah, we are out of time. It's a very interesting and also engaging topic that we can talk about going on and on and on because it's yeah, like you said, it's a process and it's an ongoing process. It's a never stop process because if we talk about culture, then it's not going to we're not going to stay here. We're just going to like adjust it within the time. So thank you very much, Fatima,
I thank you. I thank
for
you very
sharing
much.
us your work and your research and also your questions that probably we can engage with you more after this. And it's, if you'd like, and I mean, if I would like to ask for your consent that if can we send the PowerPoints to the
Yes, of
attendees,
course.
then
Yes,
if
of
they
course.
want to engage with your research a little bit further, then they can email you inside with the email that you
Of
provided
course.
inside the PowerPoint.
Yes, yes, of course. It will be
Thank
a
you very
pleasure.
much. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to end the second plenary session there, and I would like to invite two of our panelists before to a photo op, and I'm inviting as well the chairman of this conference, as well as our head of department, our secretary of department, and all of the committees to join us with the camera open, so we can make a photo op. Nggak usah spotlight, it's fine. Gallery aja. No, okay. Okay, I would like to invite the Secretary of Department, Bapak Andi, to open your camera, and then Bapak Hartono, Ibu Woro, Ibu Swastika, Ibu Yurina, and Bapak Wibi to join us for the photo op. I'm going to take the picture in the count of 3. So if I say 3, please, sorry, please smile or just give your best pose. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. Ilham. Thank you very much, Fatima, for today's talk and speeches. I think we will get. We have encountered so many knowledges today, and if you'd like to, and for attendees, if you'd like to know more about their research, please do visit their social media, or you can just directly email them with the email that is in the presentation that we are going to share you. And don't forget to fill in the links, fill in the attendance links that we already provided in the chat box. This is the end of our morning plenary session, and we will get back to you in the afternoon plenary session with another 2 keynote speakers from Bapak Robi and also Terry Newman from United Kingdom. That is all for the morning session. Oh, now we have a break for about 5 minutes. So you from the timetable that you've already received in the email, you have to click on the links that is provided there. So and be in the room with the moderators. There are some minor changes in the moderator. So room A will be hosted room A will be moderated by Bapak Prasetyo. Later, the room A will be hosted by Bapak Prasetyo, and then room B will be hosted by, sorry, I'm just going to, huh? Okay, so I just got an information. So the room A will be with Bapak Andi, and then room B will be with Bapak Iriaji, and room C will be with Ibu Deni, and room D will be with Pak Rudi, and lastly, room E will be with Bu Ike Ratnawati. And please check your connection before you are connecting to the rooms. The rooms are in the timetable that are sent to you in the email, or you can chat directly to the committee. The committee are with the open bracket committee. You can chat them directly, and then if you are not, if you have any questions more regarding the parallel sessions, then you can chat us here, and you can get back to this room, this plenary session later at 1 p.m. Western Indonesian time. That is all for now, and that is all for me as moderator for the morning session. Thank you very much, Prof. Ilham. Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you very much to all of the committees that's here today, and I will see you again this afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good.
Thank you, Anissa. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
all.
Thank you,
Thank you all
Prof.
very much.
Miss Fatima, see you again.
Thank you very much. See you.